I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, May the 6th, my oldest daughter Savannah's birthday, now 22 years old. Happy birthday, Savannah. Brought to you in part by Noromycin by Norbrook. Noromycin 300 LA treats 33% more head per bottle than the 200 milligram per milliliter oxytetracycline injectables. It's effective and economical, and it pays to compare. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Managing supplies, and we've already established that that's what the packers do. It's what they do best, and they're absolutely experts at it. Imagine producing something that you had a very narrow funnel to get into and knew that all of them had to go through that funnel. That's what we've got in your fed cattle arena. And we know that the packers control around 85% of your fed steers and heifers. I had a guy explain to me this week that even your regional packers really can't operate without some of your majors, because they rely on them to help market some of their offal and things like that. So if you don't have your majors there, basically you have nothing. But they do such a good job of that, and we know that it's easy for them when we have ample supplies of fed cattle that are ready. Well, you know, they can do lots of different things. Normally they'll haul cattle long distances for much more cost per hundredweight than what they would try to, you know, raise the price. And we would normally see that, and we wouldn't see such a big disparity between your northern plains better grading cattle, which are selling at a $5 to $6 premium, to the southern plains, but diesel's really high. So it's easier for them to go ahead and bid up those northern plains cattle and get those better grading cattle than it is to raise the price on the southern plains cattle. They can get a lot of cattle down there and keep the price under pressure. But what do packers do whenever they get into tight supplies? Well, we know that we're going into tight supplies. We talked on our last visit about how many beef cows that we've slaughtered and how deep we've culled them, and it's a record deep cull since going back into the mid-1980s. So what are packers going to do, and how do they handle it whenever they get into short supplies? Well, they've got different ways to handle that too. We remember back the last time we got really short on market ready cattle and all cattle, really, to be honest with you. What did we see that your packers did? Well, they raised the limits on the heavy carcasses before they started discounting those, and took a lot of the discounts completely away, which kind of led your cattle feeders to make cattle bigger. Well, your beef is all about tonnage, and so they kind of just led your cattle feeders like this to help them take care of their tight supplies of beef. And so they really never put those back on. You know, you'll get a discount penalty over 1,100 pound carcass. That's gigantic. You'll get a small discount on those 1050 to 1,100 pounders, maybe 10 to 12 bucks per hundred on a carcass basis there. But they don't have a lot left to do there. So what are they going to do? Well, we've already seen one major packer announce that starting 1st of September that they are going to start discounting carcasses under 700 pounds. Now, they've always discounted carcasses that are a lot lighter than that, say 575 down. They discount those because they don't really work for their business, but now they're going to start discounting carcasses and aggressively weighing under 700 pounds. That's carcass. So essentially, every individual in the pen that you sell must be larger than 1,200 pounds, and they're going to have to yield pretty good to make that 700 pound carcass. So if you go to the old USDA feeder cattle grades, all your feeder cattle are going to have a medium plus to a large frame to do that, and that would be when the cattle cross the choice barrier there. But there's a lot of cattle that don't get that big. Now, I know we've gotten the carcass weights really big, and a lot of people like to feed cattle up to 1,500, 1,600 pounds. You start getting them much bigger than that, and then they start docking you on the top side. But this window is getting narrower and narrower as the cattle that they really want. But what's it going to do? It's going to be tough on some of those thinner bone kind of cattle, the cattle that are crossed up and not that desirable. Yes, as feeder cattle and as stocker calves, they sell at a big discount, but it's going to get even more severe. And a lot of those are those small producers that didn't have the money to spend the money on bulls or better type of cows, or go out and purchase some replacement quality females that were better. They'd just been raising cattle out there. And some of you might think, well, those guys need to go out of business. Well, they are, and we are losing our smaller producers all over the country, especially in the Southeast, South Texas, places like that. They can't make it work. They're giving up their leases, and then the bigger outfits are doing it, and it's just more vertical integration, but further down the line, guys. But I wonder how long it's going to be before all four of your major packers start doing that. Discounting those carcasses under 700 pounds. I don't think it's going to take very long at all, and I would imagine that would probably happen before we get to the extremely tight numbers coming up this next fall. So we see that packers have things figured out, going and coming, and whenever you're managing all the supplies and all the cattle basically are going to come to them eventually, then we know that what's going to happen there, and our feed costs are so high. For somebody to have cattle in there that are finished, that are slaughter ready, but they're not going to have a heavy enough carcass, going to lead them to try to keep feeding those cattle inefficiently. And it's just another ploy that they use to manage the supplies. What are we going to see also come with that? Well, a lot of your straight Angus cattle, especially your old time Angus, and one of my purebred raising buddies calls them suitcase kind of bulls there. If you get too much straight Angus in there, some of those cattle have a hard time, getting a big enough carcass in there. Now, there's been a lot of Simmental blood go in there. The Sim Angus cattle sell really well and gives a little hybrid vigor in there, and puts some leg under them, puts some stretch to them, and we see that there's black purebred almost every breed that's out there. I mean, we've even got black Angus, we've got black Limousin, we've even seen black Charolais cattle out there. But that Simmental to stick in there does do really well, especially if you just put a quarter in there. But it does really well, and they've pretty much bred out all that flowery Simmental out of those, which I remember when we got those in from the Southeast when I was younger, it seemed like they had a death wish to them for some reason or another. But nothing against the Simmental breed. They're doing an excellent job, and I think this is a good opportunity for them to shop that bigger frame that they offer. Your New Mexico fires are just getting worse and worse and worse. They've declared a major disaster in that fire near Las Vegas, New Mexico. It's burned up over 165,000 acres of the 300,000 acres that New Mexico has seen burned so far this year, which is terrible. But that fire is now threatening 15,000 homes. So been declared a disaster, so that will loosen up some federal funds for them to be able to fight that a little bit more. But let's talk about the board on Thursday. June live cattle futures down $1.05 at 133.77. Your August live cattle futures down $1.05 at 136.02. You look at your back months of your live cattle, and they were down 12 cents to down $1.12. Now, May feeder cattle, all your feeder cattle were down also, but they had such huge gains all week, Monday through Wednesday. But May feeder cattle contracts down $1.92 at 160.32. August down $1.82 at 174.37. Your back months on your feeder cattle down 47 to down $1.20. And you think, well, the grains were just crazy high. Well, corn and beans weren't. Hard red winter wheat, Kansas City wheat was up big, but corn was only up 3 1/4 cents. Really hadn't moved that much this week. And that the July contract ended regular session at 7.97.5. Beans up 6 1/4 cents at 16.47. Kansas City hard red winter wheat, as I mentioned, was up 53 3/4 cents. Ouch! How would you like to make a living trading on that Kansas City hard red winter wheat contract? It would take your head off or drive you to drinking. But Kansas City hard red winter wheat ended regular session trading at 11.77. Your fat cattle trade was just kind of moderate, just a little bit of cleanup trade there, and we probably won't see much trade on Friday either, but looks like they pretty much got everything done, but they were active in most areas. Colorado continues to print this week. They sold 200 head confirmed on Thursday with a grand total of just 1,800 head, but at least it's reporting. But live prices at 146 in Colorado, dress sales at 232, which is right up there at the top. And we remember Colorado used to always trade with the Southern Plains, but Iowa, 400 heads all confirmed on Thursday, 22,300 head for the week. Live sales at 145, dress sales at 232. Nebraska, 1,200 head, and a total running so far up through Thursday of 35,600 head. Pretty respectable trade for them. Live prices at 146, dressed at 232. Kansas, 1,100 head confirmed on Thursday, 14,500 head for the week. Live prices ranging from 139 to 141. Hadn't seen that 139 sneak in there, but there actually was fairly significant numbers traded at the 139, which will be off the mark. Texas didn't have any confirmed sales on Thursday. Weekly total running at 10,200 head, which is fairly robust for the Texas Panhandle feedlot area. Box beef cutout values were down hard, especially on the choice. 255.18 on Thursday afternoon, down 456. Select's down $1.87 at 245.81. Choice select spread is only $9.37, and we're getting at the time where it's normally the widest, as your people are wanting grilling muscle meats there to put on the grill, you know, for the Mother's Day holiday, Memorial Day holiday. Father's Day will be coming up here before long, but fairly narrow choice select spread there. Here's slaughter trying to catch up with last week's big movement, but 487,000 head harvested through Thursday. That's 11,000 less than last week, but 16,000 more than the same week a year ago. Your actual slaughter information come in for the week ending April the 23rd. Had your average dressed steer carcass weight at 906. And that was 3 pounds less than the previous report. Talk about DV Auction. They're the ones that bring all this to you guys. And I'd like to brag about our production sale report. This is on our purebred sales, our replacement cattle sales and the like. But your production sale report for April on DV Auctions consoles, the bids were almost 21,000 bids that came in to buy stock off DV Auction. Had 3,700 lots sold on there, added up with total purchases of over $16.5 million through DV Auction. If you're having a production sale and you're not considering putting it online with DV Auction to offer it up to our huge amount of buyers on there, you should probably consider that. How about your feeder cattle market? Your real-time index on DV Auction ended the day on Thursday at 155.85. That was up 42 cents, and we've seen gains all week, and we've seen some very impressive prices all week, both on some bigger stalker types. A lot of stalker types weighing in the sevens as feed costs are so high. They want to put some weight on them in a cheap way. But also on your heavier feeders going right on the feed, despite cost of gains, they're getting up there around 140 and bigger. But Pratt, Kansas, you have some of your bigger sales on Thursday. Winter livestock in Pratt had 2,200 there. Your bigger feeder steers were $3 to $5 higher. Other weights and classes were not well tested, but pretty good sale there in Pratt, Kansas. Farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas, 2,200 head there. Their market was called sharply higher there. And it did look very impressive with a stick-out sale there in Salina, Kansas of 97 head, 804 pound steers at 164.50. Big time quote there. How about Dickinson, North Dakota, Stockman's Livestock Exchange there? They were selling those grass kinds really well there. How about 77 head, 565 pound steers, bring $217 a hundred there, and that's a big time quote way up in North Dakota, guys. How about Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky? They had a world of yearlings there, loads of them, guys, and they're marketing them in loads, adding value to their cattle right there in the local areas, and then those cattle are ready to move west and go into your major feedlots. And you look at the prices, they're competitive with the prices being paid in the central part of the U.S. Plus you got all that freight, and that freight is just about whatever you want to figure diesel is per gallon. That's what these cattle trucks are having to charge per mile, per loaded mile, and it's getting way up there. A lot of it's 5.5 and better, and sometimes they're adding an additional fuel surcharge on top of that. But look at all these 8-weight loads of steers out of Stanford, Kentucky. 7 loads of them right here, ranged in price from $149.75 to $160.30, and they squeeze every drop out of those whenever they sell them, guys. Let's talk about some different kind of cattle at a different sale. How about Jeff and Rebecca's sale barn? Jeff and Rebecca Azaleas there, my good friends from Durant Stockyards in Durant, Oklahoma. Not Durant, but Durant. He told me about a load of 3 colored quarter blood Brahma Cross cattle that he had at Durant Stockyards on Thursday. They weighed 800 pounds at $153, and he said there was a lot of tiger stripes and things like that on them. Not that they're bad cattle there, but a lot of your buyers won't buy those type of cattle, but still bringing a really, really impressive quote there, and it helps to get them into load lots, guys. If you are selling backgrounded feeder cattle and you're not selling them in at least load lots, you're pissing in the wind. Let's talk about your best quote that I saw on Thursday, your Ralgro top quote for the day, come out of a market I don't think we've ever talked about, but I knew it was up there. Napoleon Livestock Auction in Napoleon, North Dakota. They sell 5 loads of feeder steers, weigh 742 at $179.75. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.